So this is all the goats that were lost. And we're trying to lead them back after the neighborhood all came out to help find them. Pretty gloomy day out here today. It's Sunday morning, just feeding the goats before we go to worship service. Last night it was about 40 and raining, and at about 2 o'clock in the morning, Nikki woke up to take the dog out. She said it's really cold, it's raining outside, and I got worried because goats are out here. Not a whole lot of sheltering trees, I guess you would say, for them to get under. There's maybe one or two larger autumn olives up there, but they don't protect from the rain. They definitely don't protect from the wind. So after being worried for about 10 or 15 minutes while I laid in the bed, I got up and loaded up on clothes and put on my raincoat and went and fixed this old shelter. It's really not big enough for them to be in continually, but anyways, it had a couple of broken pieces on it. Anyways, I fixed that out in the field, and then I drug it up here and put it across the fence. And then I had to go find the goats somewhere here in this, forest over here. And the only way I could find them was by bah, bah. Eventually I heard some return calls, and I went and found them. Pora was easy to find. She met me here at the fence. She couldn't tell me where the goats were, though. Anyways, judging from the amount of poop that's inside the shelter, they spent a good bit of the night in there last night, which is good. Their coats are fairly dry, and none of them seem to really be shivering, lethargic. They're all eating pretty voraciously. So, Pora, no. Even Pora. She's trying to eat their food. So, a little bit of forethought would have been a better idea. I wouldn't have to spend from 2 to 4 a.m. out here doing all that stuff. But got it done, and they seem to be in good shape. And now they're eating, and I'll leave it out here in case they want to, frequent the shelter during the day. If it does start to rain some more, it's not supposed to get up above like 52 or 53. So next time I'll be prepared. That's probably unlikely. I'll probably still be behind and doing stuff last second and cold and maybe in the middle of the night. So the goats are currently at the top of our property at the highest point on a pasture up there. And so I came down and started cutting fence line on our large open big pasture that has a bunch of brush up at the top. And we're going to put them in close to where the Christmas trees are and let them try and clean some of that up. The hope is we'll slowly work our way down to the pasture that's very small. It's maybe 2.5 acres right beside the house, and that's where they'll spend the winter. We'll graze some of that grass down there that we have stockpiled a little bit, and then we'll move on to feeding them bales as we get into winter. What I need to do now, and this goes with the shelter that I was talking about before, is I need to build them a shelter that's actually going to keep them safe during the coldest months and if we have snow during the winter time. Goats are not like sheep in that they don't do well if you just leave them out in the wet and the cold and the wind. They don't have the hair that sheep have in order to protect them. So the next step is to draw up some plans and to buy some materials and get started building a goat shelter. All right, welcome to the construction site, goat shelter construction site. So far, what has been done is we found the corners. This is going to be 10 foot by 25 foot. And we have put in a string line, and the string line is level all the way through. And so we have to set the cinder blocks or the concrete blocks at the right distance vertically from that string line, which means we're going to have to probably dig in a couple of spots and probably add a little bit of dirt in a couple of spots to get it flat. I don't have time to do that during lunch today, so I'm going to work on cutting some half lap joints in the 4x4s to start building the base, and then probably at the end of the day today I'll come out and I'll start working on this. Here's the wood for most of the frame and structure, 4x4s and 2x6s for the most part. I don't have everything just yet because I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to frame up the roof yet. I have a bunch of sheet metal roofing that came off of an old shed that was falling down in the backyard. Maybe you've seen that in another video that Dad pulled that down and he took all the roofing off so that I could use it for this. All right, here's the beginning of some half lap joints. There's going to be a 2x6 that fits down in this notched out section right here. There are different ways of doing this, but a cheap way of doing it is taking your circular saw, make your first cut at, so this is a 2x6, so it's going to be 5.5 inches down, and then set your depth of cut to 1.5 inches, because that's the thickness of your 2x6. And so you'll have a 1.5 inch depth, 5.5 inches across. And once you make all these cuts, you just take a hammer and knock all these out, and then kind of clean up with a chisel if you want the bottom part right there. All right, now let's get the chisel and clean that out. All right, so with the little cleaning with the chisel, it looks like that. I'd love to tell you that I got a nice perfect square in there, but it'll be good enough, and let's see how it fits on the 2x6. All right, I don't know about you, but it looks pretty good to me. So it's a nice, beautiful, brisk morning of 38 degrees, cold. I'm sure the goats are ready to no longer be out in the pasture, but this is where we got to last night. I finished the base, supported at every joint. It should be all within about 1 inch of in plane, or the top surfaces all being on the same plane, and it's close enough. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. And then I measured corner to corner, and got a little over 27 feet on both of those, so we should be square. So I haven't screwed anything in yet. I need to pull these posts up on the outside, and then I'm going to screw it all together, and then I'm going to go across the street and get some gravel and fill everything in, including these gaps under the sides that don't have a whole lot underneath them. I'll make like a little gravel pad here. All right, let's see if I can do this with one hand. So we're better. Probably could use one more load here, especially on this side right here. And then, so another load that'll go in this area right here. And then probably 2 to 3 more loads on this side, which is the side that was the lowest down there and needs the most fill. So probably put some stuff on the outside too. I don't know, on the outside, I may get lazy and just put some of this mulch that's out here around. Well, something's wrong here. All of these goats were over here before, and now there's only one. Luckily, I left the old fencing up from the last one, but I have no idea how they got over here. So this is all the goats that were lost. And we're trying to lead them back after the neighborhood all came out to help find them. All right, so we are all safely back into the fence. Sephora is very happy that everybody's back. They were about, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile away on the neighbor's property. The neighbors were glad to find them, see them, meet them. And, but anyways, the problem is that I turned the fence off this morning to move a couple of things. And then when I left, I did not turn it back on. And I guess they figured out that they could just push it down. So that's what they did. And they pushed it down right over here. And then they went down through here. And then they went around the corner and they went down there somewhere. And that's the first place that I looked whenever I found them to be out of the fence. And yeah, couldn't find them. I don't know. I mean, it's just nothing but just brush all over the place. And this stuff right here, whatever this is, ragweed or Canadian goldenrod or whatever it is, it's low right here. It's about 6 feet tall in most of the places. So wherever they were, I mean, there's gray dogwood trees that are 7 feet tall that are just so thick you can't see through them. But we were all pretty nervous, and we finally found them. And they had been running around all over the place. They were just enjoying their time out. But when they got back, they ate some food, and they had been exhausted. They had a lot of water to drink. So the goats went on their excursion today, and we are encouraging them not to have any more excursions. So Zipporah was extremely sad that all her goats were missing. Well, welcome to my back deck, which is the only flat-ish area that I can build anything. So with the green egg and all the chairs and the goat feed and dog food and miniature greenhouse and sled and everything else that we have, I am putting together the rafters for the goat shed. So right now we're just in, I built the first one to proof it out. I started building the other ones with all the exact same cuts, even though somehow the first one is just very, very slightly different than every other one after that. So whatever. But anyways, they're all close enough. And they'll all have a 30-inch gap between them, something like that. So, anywho. And I'm probably going to put a plate or a piece of thin plywood or something up there, cut a triangle and screw it through that, because I don't have a great way of fastening those two ends together the way that they currently are. So, but for now, I can put it together like this, and then I can come back and add those at the end. So right now I'm just screwing the two long boards together, which is the actual roof section. And then I've got to finish cutting these, which I just made here, and that's the slightly longer boards. And I cut a 45 on one side, and then I'll come back and I'll just put it in place and mark the cut on the other side. And then come back and cut it with a handsaw to make sure it fits. But one day maybe I'll have a pole barn or something put up so that I can actually do this on a nice concrete floor.